The rain had stopped an hour ago, but the roads were still slick and gleaming. Under the pale orange glow of the streetlights, Daniel tightened his grip on the handlebars of his motorcycle. As he rode through the narrow, winding roads of the English countryside, the hum of the engine was the only sound cutting through the silence of the night. He didn't know why he'd taken this route. It wasn't the quickest way home, but something about the dark, empty roads had called to him. Maybe it was the way the mist clung to the fields, rolling over the hedgerows like slow-moving ghosts. Or maybe it was just the need to clear his head after the argument he'd had with Sophie earlier that evening. The clock on his dash blinked. 12:03 a.m. He was miles away from town now, surrounded by nothing but fields and forests. The houses had grown sparse, and the road twisted like a black ribbon through the dark. Then he saw it, a figure standing at the edge of the road. It was a woman, her dress pale and tattered, soaked through from the rain. Her hair hung in strings across her face, and as Daniel slowed the bike, she lifted her head. Her eyes locked onto his, and for a moment, he felt an icy chill race down his spine. She didn't move, didn't wave for help. She just stared. Daniel hesitated. He knew these roads could be dangerous at night. People got lost. Cars broke down. He couldn't just leave her there. He pulled over and killed the engine. The sudden silence pressed down on him, and the mist seemed to creep closer. "You all right?" he called out. No answer. He stepped off the bike and took a few cautious steps toward her. "Miss, do you need help?" She turned then, slowly, like her limbs didn't quite work the way they should. Her face was pale, too pale, and her lips were tinged blue. Daniel's breath hitched. Something wasn't right. And then she spoke. "Help me." Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried through the stillness like a scream. Before he could respond, she turned and walked into the woods. Daniel stood frozen. He didn't want to follow her, not into those dark trees, but he couldn't just let her disappear. He grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the mist as he stepped off the road and into the woods. "Miss, where are you?" The sound of branches snapping made him whirl around. The light flickered as he tried to steady his hand, and then he saw her again, standing further in, half hidden behind a tree. "Help me," she said again. Daniel took a step closer, but the ground felt wrong beneath his boots, soft and spongy. He looked down and saw the dirt was damp and freshly turned, like something had been buried there.